You're listening to Evita, an AI-generated research briefing avatar trained on the research framework and methodology of Dr. Eva Wolf, marketing professor, AI researcher, and founder of Big Plans Media. Every day, Evita scans emerging research in AI, marketing, consumer behavior, psychographics, and business strategy to identify the most relevant developments, opportunities, and risks worth watching. These daily radar reports are designed to help busy professionals stay informed without having to read hundreds of research papers themselves. And every Friday, join Dr. Eva Wolf live for her personally recorded weekly AI Marketing Radar Roundup, where she breaks down the biggest stories, explains what actually matters, and shares practical insights and strategic implications for marketers, educators, entrepreneurs, and business leaders. Now, here's today's Radar Report. What does AI actually see when it looks at your brand? Because if the answer is just decent quality, reasonable price, and that's it, then everything you've invested in your brand story, your cultural meaning, your origin, your values, AI is throwing it in the trash. That's the thread this week. How AI search collapses brand identity, how small businesses are actually making AI work in the real world, and whether AI-generated music can replace the royalty-free tracks you're paying for right now. We screened 400 papers. 3 cleared the full-text bar and made the radar. Quick caveat, this is a first-pass research briefing, not a final academic review. Every paper covered today has full text access. I'll tell you what the papers suggest, what they don't prove, and which ones are worth your time. Okay, let's get into it. Paper 1. If your brand's whole identity lives in its story, its values, its cultural roots, AI search might be quietly making you look identical to your cheapest competitor. A researcher named Zharnikov ran 21,350 API calls across 24 large language models: Western, Chinese, Russian, Japanese, Korean, Arabic, Indian model families, asked each one to evaluate competing brand pairs across 8 dimensions. Things like brand narrative, ideology, cultural meaning, heritage, and yes, also price and product experience. So what happened? Every single model, all 24, collapsed brand evaluation down to basically 2 things: price and product experience. That's it. The brand story? Ignored. Cultural roots? Ignored. Values, mission, history? Ignored. And here's what really got me. All 24 models agreed on this so consistently that the similarity score across how they ranked brand dimensions was 0.977 out of 1. Nearly perfect agreement across models built by completely different companies in completely different countries. The paper uses this analogy, metamerism. 2 paint colors that look identical under artificial light but completely different in sunlight. AI is the artificial light. Your brand's real depth is only visible to humans. I love that framing, and I think it's right. Now, local brands get hit harder. Locally rooted brands lost 25% more brand distinctiveness in AI recommendations compared to global brands. 25%. So if you're a regional brand, a brand with deep cultural ties to a specific community, a brand whose whole point is that it's not the global option, AI search is actively working against you. Not intentionally, structurally. There is a partial fix the paper found. Adding structured, machine-readable brand information, Schema markup, knowledge panels, FAQ data recovered about 20% of the lost distinction. Not all of it, 20%, but that's something. That's the piece I care about because it means there's an action you can take right now. Plain English payoff. If your brand's value is its story or cultural meaning and not just its price, AI search is currently making you look generic, and you need to encode that story in machine-readable formats before AI becomes the dominant discovery channel. Money move. Brand managers and agencies should be building a structured brand data service right now, translating origin stories, values, and cultural context into schema markup and knowledge graph entries designed to be picked up by AI search. That's a real billable deliverable that didn't exist 2 years ago. Try this by Friday. Open ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity. Ask each one to compare your brand to your top competitor. If the answer is basically both offer good quality at a reasonable price, you have your diagnosis. That's the audit. Do it today. Evidence check. Preprint. Not yet peer-reviewed. And it's a single author study using a brand new measurement framework called PRISM-B that hasn't been independently validated. It measures what AI says about brands, not what consumers actually do. Purchase behavior is not in scope. Radar verdict. Read now. The cross-model convergence finding is striking enough to act on experimentally, especially if you manage a local or culturally rooted brand. But treat this as a signal to test, not an established truth. Paper 2. Let me take you somewhere the AI marketing conversation almost never goes. Nigeria. 18 small business owners. No big budgets, no enterprise software stacks, just people trying to figure out how to use AI tools to compete. Researchers interviewed 18 micro and small business owners across 6 states in southern Nigeria. They asked how these businesses actually plan, produce, and manage AI-assisted marketing content. What works, what doesn't, and what separates the ones that benefit from the ones that don't. And I'm telling you, this is one of those papers where the findings travel way beyond the original context. So here's what they found. The businesses that made AI work started small. Captions, post carousels, short videos, low risk, easy to fix if something went wrong. They didn't try to automate everything at once. And they kept a human in the loop for anything involving paid advertising claims. That guardrail mattered. The businesses that dropped those guardrails? Mess. Too many tools, device limitations, licensing confusion, platform penalties for content that was too generic. The benefit disappeared. So what separated the winners from the losers? The paper calls it minimum viable governance, which sounds very corporate for what it actually is. Write down a standard prompt template for your most common content types. Have a human check anything before it goes into a paid ad. That's it. That's the whole playbook. There's one more finding I want to flag because it runs counter to what a lot of marketers assume. Being upfront with customers about using AI, actually disclosing it, helped build trust. It didn't hurt it. Wait, that matters. Now, I'll be honest, I'd want to see that tested in more contexts before I treat it as universal, but the direction is interesting. In this context, with these businesses, transparency was a competitive advantage. And the consistency finding, posting more regularly, writing clearer offers, using language that fit local culture, drove more reach, more saves, more genuine inquiries, without increasing ad spend. That's the flywheel. AI gives you consistency. Consistency gives you reach. Plain English payoff. The businesses that won with AI weren't the ones who automated the most. They were the ones who set the simplest rules and stuck to them. Money Move, a minimum viable governance starter kit. A prompt library, a one-page approval checklist, a short tool selection guide is a low-cost digital product or onboarding add-on that SMB clients will actually use. This market is underserved and the need is real. Try this by Friday. Write down your single most used content type, Instagram captions, let's say, and draft one reusable prompt template for it. 1. Test it 3 times this week. That's your minimum viable governance starting point. Evidence check. 18 people. 1 region of 1 country. This is qualitative. It describes patterns. It does not prove cause and effect. Don't generalize to all small businesses everywhere. Use it as a hypothesis to test in your own context. Radar verdict. Read now. Rare ground-level evidence about how AI marketing adoption actually happens in resource-constrained businesses. Small sample, but the practical framework is clear enough to act on without reading the full paper. Paper 3. Real quick question. How much are you spending on royalty-free music licenses for your digital ads right now? Because this paper just ran a real-world A/B test, actual ads, actual clicks, and found that AI-generated music performed identically to royalty-free stock music on click-through rate. Iverson ran 2 studies. First, a survey comparing AI-generated music to human-composed music across 6 quality criteria. Second, and this is the one I care about, a live field experiment. Real ads. AI music in one condition, royalty-free music in the other, measuring actual clicks. Here's what the survey found. AI music actually beat human music on 2 things: how well it followed the brief and how pleasant the melody was. But it scored lower on creativity. Listeners felt it was less original. So, technically competent, brief following, melodically pleasant, but not inventive. That's a real distinction. And then the field test confirmed it. Same CTR, no difference. AI music, royalty-free music, the ads performed the same. Now, before I get too excited, and I am a little excited, I need to flag the comparison here. This study pits AI music against royalty-free stock music, not against a custom composition from a talented human composer. The bar it's clearing is better than Envato Elements, not better than Hans Zimmer. Keep that in mind. Plain English payoff. If you're paying for royalty-free music licenses for digital ads, AI-generated music is probably a viable swap. Same click performance, lower cost, and it actually follows your brief better. Money Move. Calculate what you or your clients spend on royalty-free music licenses annually. That number, whatever it is the addressable budget for an AI music generation service. The CTR parity finding gives you the business case. Try this by Friday. Pick one low-stakes digital ad and generate a music track using a tool like Suno or Udio with a very specific brief. Tempo, mood, instruments, brand feel. Specific. Run it against your current track informally. See what you think. Evidence check. The sample sizes for both studies are not reported, not in the abstract, not in the full text. That's a real problem for assessing how much to trust the CTR result. And the venue is a student journal. The peer review process there is probably less rigorous than a top-tier outlet. Test this yourself before you bet the campaign on it. Radar verdict: use cautiously. The field experiment design is the right approach, and the null CTR result is genuinely useful. But unreported sample sizes and a low credibility venue mean you test this yourself before you commit. Okay, so here's what I think is actually happening across all 3 papers this week. AI doesn't experience your brand, your content, or your creative work the way a human does. It compresses it, flattens it, evaluates it on the criteria it was trained to evaluate, and ignores the rest. AI search strips your brand down to price and product. AI tools reward consistency over originality. AI music is melodically pleasant but less creative. There is a pattern here. But here's what I keep coming back to. The Nigerian small business paper cuts against despair because those businesses found something real. The answer isn't AI can't do the creative work. The answer is AI does specific jobs really well, and you need simple rules to capture the upside without losing what makes you distinctive. Here's the tension. Paper 1 says AI search is erasing brand distinctiveness. Paper 3 says AI music performs just as well as stock music in ads. Both are true at the same time. AI flattens things that require cultural depth, brand identity, creative originality. But it's perfectly fine at functional jobs where the brief is clear and the measure is clicks. That's actually a useful map. Cultural depth? Encode it yourself in machine-readable formats. Don't trust AI to surface it automatically. Functional execution? Automate it. Get the cost savings. Don't overthink it. Here's the playbook from today. 1. Go ask ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity to compare your brand to your top competitor right now. If the answer is both offer good quality at a reasonable price, that's your brand getting collapsed. Start encoding your story, values, and cultural context in structured data on your website. 2. Write one reusable prompt template for your most common AI content tab. 1 page, 1 approval step before anything goes into a paid ad. That's your minimum viable governance. Not glamorous, works. 3. Run 1 AI-generated music track in a low-stakes digital ad this week. Specific brief, tempo, mood, instruments, brand feel. Compare it to your current royalty-free track. If the performance is the same, you just found a cost you don't have to pay anymore. Links to all 3 papers are in the show notes. Read the originals before making major decisions. Paper 1 is a preprint. Hold it as a signal to test, not an established fact. Use all of this to decide what to test, not what to blindly believe. Want the human expert take? Join Dr. Eva Wolf every Friday for the AI Marketing Radar Roundup, where she extracts no-nonsense money-making tips, practical strategy, and real business opportunities from the week's research. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. This is Evita for Big Plans Media, and I'll be back in the next Radar Brief.